All right, thank you so much. Wow, lovely to see way more people than I think we anticipated. But good morning. Thank you so much for coming to our session. Hopefully, we will introduce ourselves, level set on what we're going to be talking about, and we have all of you for the next 30 minutes. So I'm Tina Diamond. I am the Cloud and AI Platforms Director at Microsoft. I've been there for about 4 years, and I have spent my career for over 20 years in the technology space, and I get the opportunity for the last 15 to spend it in and around data. With me is the person who's going to credentialize this whole talk. It's David Mitchell. He's a senior cloud solution architect at Microsoft. He's also been here for about just over 3 years.
Yep.
And been in the data and AI data space for in and around 15 years. So again, I'm super excited to share the presentation with David, and hopefully we will give you a little bit of what we're looking to talk about in having all your data in one place. And we decided to give it a punch with no excuses. So we'll be level setting on the what and the why, and when it comes to the how, David will take you through the art and the science of what we can do to bring that to life in a live demo. So hopefully we'll spark some interest, we'll get your juices flowing around some thoughts and ideas around data, and we couldn't talk about data without also talking about AI, but bear with us, and hopefully this will encourage a little bit more innovation. And we hope to have about 5 minutes at the end for Q&A, but I think we ran over a couple minutes, so we may not, but we are up in the VIP area in the X-Access main area upstairs. So if you want to come and talk to David and myself, or some of the other amazing people at Microsoft like Chris Webb and other folks, please do. With that, we're going to level set on data is a fuel that powers AI. After, I think, years of disruption, going from the pandemic to ongoing economic and political shifts, this is an intense pressure on a lot of industries, and I think everyone's been asked to evolve at an unprecedented pace. Data is the fuel to unlock and unblock a lot of the AI transformation and deliver that competitive edge. What I see artificial intelligence that truly differentiates this previous technological leaps, and for many of you that know, AI has been around since 1957, so it's not a new technology, but from the technological leap that has been made, the remarkable ability to now extend our cognitive capabilities through large language models is now democratized and in the hands of everybody. And I see that AI enables us to move beyond simple data processing. It empowers us to think about things more critically, reason beyond more efficiently, and drive capabilities that we learn continuously, I know I do, and communicate with better precision. I also see that AI is offering a set of unique strengths, capabilities that organizations across every sector can now harness and drive that innovation to boost and achieve meaningful growth. I like to level set also on how, who's thinking about the strategies, and how do we make sure that we also have our CIOs and senior leaders that are actually rapidly advancing AI adoption. The urgency is high, and organizations want to realize the AI benefits not even now, but yesterday. There's a lot of promise on what AI success can do, but it's still predicated upon secure, governed, and trusted data. Data governance is also at the bedrock of responsible AI, and we need that in order to have scalable AI. A well-orchestrated data estate supports both small pilots to large company-wide AI transformations and solutions. And I see that it's built on strong data foundations to enable organizations to scale from small and innovative experiments to transformational AI. And when I tend to speak to CIOs, either they're information officers or innovation or data officers, I often hear them say that I need to simplify my data estate, help unify what I'm trying to do with all of the different products, all of the different fragmentation from databases that has happened over decades, because I want to be the chief innovation officer. I don't want to be the chief integration officer. Bit of an eye test, stay with me. This is a super complex landscape, and this is looking at all of the technologies and products, and from infra to AI to machine learning to applications to open source to enterprise. A lot of them are here at Big Data London that are here from left to right and top to bottom, that organizations now need to look at and see which ones they include and integrate into their current estate. And with that, they need to streamline their operations and advance their entire data platform and estate, though the burden is often in searching on that thousands and thousands of data and AI products to find the right offering. And it's not just about finding the right offering, because Gartner does a brilliant job at looking at what are the top right-hand quadrants of companies in different areas, but what about the integration, scale, and then evolving your data estate to make sure that you're then looking down the line and how can you continue to be at the cutting edge of what you're trying to deliver to your employees and your customers. And integration, how do you integrate even a handful of them? How do you scale, and how can you keep thinking about which of those products are going to be included in the roadmap that you're also thinking about over the next 5, 10, 20 years? AI has arrived. Hopefully you all got the memo. It's transforming the world rapidly, and I think this audience will probably understand that most than many. You're probably in a less than 1% that not only understands this, but have jobs, data analysts, data engineers, data scientists, CIOs, industry leaders, and you're all trying to look to see how data and AI can how AI can power it by having effective data. Because AI is only as effective as the data that underpins it. And I'm seeing many customers realize that they must get their data estates ready to unlock and unblock AI's full potential. A lot of the challenges that we see is due to the overwhelming, do you remember the eyesore test slide, number of products and technologies that are available? The burden on many of our customers to determine what's the right capability. Do our employees, are they upskilled? Do they understand what data products are? Do they understand the whole landscape? Do they have the right upskilling to do their jobs better, faster, smarter? And not to mention the value that your business is trying to leverage from the promise of AI with your data unified and in one central place that they can trust, rely, secure, and make sure that you have that path to production in the rest of your backlog use cases. So just taking a pause, does this resonate with anybody in this room? Hopefully it resonates. I love that. I like the double thumbs up. How many of you are IT leaders? Show of hands. How many of you are data engineers? Data scientists? Data analysts? So data engineers, data analysts, some leaders. I didn't see many hands for data scientists, but I'm sure you're somewhere. And if we don't sort out the data estate, it will only exacerbate data issues for AI. And before AI can deliver value, organizations must address the underlying complexity and fragmentation I just showed around your data estate. Customers have estates going back 30 years built on Oracle databases that they've kept on-prem that haven't upgraded. I mean, there's just data sprawl that you have to think about. How do you then leverage all of that data that your company's been collecting for decades and decades, and how do you make sense and make sure that it's available, it's not duplicated, there's not data sprawl, there's efficiencies in what you need, and it also optimizes your spend and your cloud spend. And because there's a lot of poor integration, I always call it the Frankenstein. You've had to stitch everything together, and what happens is the performance degrades, and you're trying to have everything to your organization, but it's at a cost of the performance as well as what you can really start to think about in optimizing your entire estate. And this magnifies when we are making more, when AI starts to come in, and we're seeing that there's a lot more problematic and visible cracks starting to show. Once your data is unified, open, modern, secure, AI can become that competitive edge. And leveraging your organization's data and accelerating that value is only made possible by empowering all of the individuals to harness that and making sure that's secured, governed, easy, and you've got powerful analytics and generative AI supporting it. And this improves productivity, facilitates near real-time insights while always remaining compliant. I'm seeing by addressing a lot of these data issues and understanding the performance that your organization is looking to achieve, it reduces investment and cost related to deployment. Organizations can begin to realize the value of their data and expedite innovation by opening new revenue streams and reducing costs. Hopefully that gave you a level set. With that, I'm going to hand it over to David to take you through a demo.
Thanks, Tina. Hopefully you can all hear me. So basically what we're going to go through now is sort of the technical how we can do that. So first up, we've got this slide that some of you may already seen. So we're going to introduce the Microsoft Fabric, which is our unified data platform. We can see that we all know that we've got data in multiple different sources, whether it be transactional databases somewhere on-prem or in other clouds, in other storage, and other areas. And basically what Fabric allows us to do is to access that data, sometimes via using shortcuts where the data will remain where it is in the other cloud, or by mirroring where we can create replicas of the data from the source. And we all know that users within the business have varying different skill sets. So some may be more familiar with SQL, maybe our data scientists are more familiar with Python. So we've got the different workloads and compute engines inside of Microsoft Fabric that allow users, depending on their skill set, to interact with the data, with what's more comfortable to them. There's a lot within there, and we've got very limited amount of time, so we're just going to focus on a small slice of the data as we go through sort of the technical demo. We're going to focus on an Azure SQL database, which, like all Microsoft demos, has got AdventureWorks in it. So we're going to take that data from the SQL database, we're going to mirror that into Fabric, and then we're going to do some AI use cases on that and build some reports as well. I'll be honest, as part of the video, we had, I think, a 12-minute section, so some of it is sped up, but there's no magic, there's no behind-the-scenes editing or anything like that. It's purely out of the box as it would work.
And Dave,
So here,
are you a data scientist?
sorry?
Are you a data scientist?
Yes, so we'll go through that in a moment, but yeah. So we'll start off by getting the data into Fabric. We're going to use SQL mirroring, which is free as part of the Fabric capacity model. So we're going to create an item in our workspace. Is this playing? We're going to select to set up an Azure SQL mirror. We're going to provide the connection string for that SQL instance. We're going to pass the database name. And then what Fabric will do is go and set up change data capture on the SQL database, and then start to replicate those tables that we select into our mirrored instance. So I'll just give it a minute to catch up. So we'll see now within the UI, and we'll notice that there's no coding required here. It's very much a no-code approach. So we can set up the mirroring. It'll start to ingest that data and make it available to us. It's going to store the data in Delta format inside of OneLake so that the other workloads and work streams can start to access and do analysis or whatever it may be against that data. So we'll give it a name of AdventureWorks. It's not paused, is it? And see now it's starting to configure that mirrored instance. We'll wait for a second for the video to catch up, but what this allows us to do now is if we've got data in other sources, in maybe on-prem or even in SharePoint, we can actually start to mirror that data and make it available inside of Fabric. So once that's done, we'll start to see the tables appear. We'll refresh and we'll see the latest date for when that data has been made available, how many rows have been replicated, and then from there we can now create a Fabric lakehouse inside of our workspace. And what that lakehouse is sort of our window into our storage layer. So where our tables are stored, we'll create a lakehouse. We'll give it a friendly name. So we'll go for Big Data London as we're all here. And then we can use our replicated data in the SQL mirror and start to do analysis and perform analysis against that. So we can see here, I'll create the lakehouse. The lakehouse will load up. We'll see there's no tables in there at the moment. And what we can do is now create shortcuts to that data. Now what shortcuts are, if you think about, say, Windows, if we've got a file somewhere and we create a shortcut in that file system, the data stays where it is, but we can reference it via a shortcut. So the data's still in OneLake for the AdventureWorks SQL mirror, but now it's accessible within our lakehouse. So we're choosing our tables that we want to perform some analysis or enrichment against. We'll create those shortcuts, and we'll see very quickly that they'll start to appear. Our tables are replicated. They're in Delta format, so they're in that open format, so it can be consumed by any of the workloads. And what we're going to do now is create a notebook, and this will allow us to enrich the data. So I need to do some enrichment of our data. So if we look at our product descriptions, when they load up, we're going to connect to that. We're going to load the product description table, and we're going to see that there's multiple languages in our description field. So what we can use is the native Fabric AI functions inside of the notebook, and we can automatically translate those fields. We can then add a new column to our table and then save that back to the lakehouse so that our users or whoever it is that's working with the data downstream has the data enriched in a usable format. So that doesn't have to be translated to English. We can translate it to Spanish, whatever language we choose. So we can see here now that there's multiple different languages. If you scroll down, there'll be, I think, French and maybe some others. But what we're able to do now is just invoke that function. It's a single line of code, so it's not user intensive. There's not a great deal for us to write. We just pass the input column, which is our description column, and then we pass our output column, which we're going to give a name of translated description. What we can then do is display that data frame, take a look at the data, and make sure that we're happy with it. So once this finishes running, we'll see the original table with an additional column. It takes a couple of minutes, but we sped it up to seconds here. So that data is available, and then we can see now that we've got our translated description against that data. So now it's usable. Our users can read it in whatever language they choose. So it's kind of a simple example, but hopefully it starts to introduce, the concepts of what we can do in our notebooks, how we can enrich the data using those AI functions that are native in Fabric, and we'll save that there now as a table ready for use downstream. There are other functions in the AI functions in Fabric. So basically what we're going to do now is we're going to look at our product descriptions, and we're going to do some sentiment analysis against those columns, and we're going to save that back to the Lakehouse. So again, it's a single line, or 3 lines of code to save that to our Lakehouse. We're going to pass in the review column, and then what the notebook and the function is going to do is iterate over those records in that table, provide us with some sentiment analysis, whether it's positive, neutral, or negative, and then we can save that back to the Lakehouse. So we'll just wait for this to finish running, and hopefully you can see sort of the benefits of what these functions can do. There are other functions like categorization, and I think general prompting functions as well. And I actually use those to help generate my product reviews for some of my products for this demo. So then we can see here now we've got our sentiment analysis against those reviews. We're going to save that to as a table within our Lakehouse, and then what we're going to do now is then think about our end user and how can they make use of that data. So we'll drop back into our Lakehouse. We'll do a quick refresh, and we'll see that our tables are there. And then we're going to create a Power BI data set, or as they're now called, semantic model. We're going to choose just a couple of tables in here. So we'll just pick our product, our sentiment, and maybe customer. We're going to give it a name, a friendly name of product sentiment. And then what we can see is that Fabric will give us that semantic model, and then instantly, without doing any additional modifications to our semantic model here, we're going to create a report. In a production environment, obviously you do some more enrichment and do some cleansing of the model, maybe create some measures. But for the purposes of the demo, we're jumping straight into the report. So as I'm not a report developer, so I'm going to use Copilot to help me develop that report. We're going to suggest some content for this report page based on the semantic model that we've got. We're going to create a product review sentiment analysis. And then what this will do is basically create a report page for us. It'll be a first stab at it. Remember, this is Copilot, not Autopilot, so it's not going to go off and create me a perfect report at first pass. As we can see, it's created a pie chart. Now, I'm not a fan of those, so we're going to replace that with some narrative. And what we're going to use is the Copilot narrative within the report, which will then provide us an executive summary of what's happening with our data and our report. And we can see, which you probably can't see because it's very small text, it does call out some key features and reviews and sentiment from our data. I'm conscious we've got 5 minutes left, so I'll see if I can skip ahead somewhat. So we can then add slices to the report and enrich it. If we then slice against maybe the color and filter to black, the smart narrative will automatically update and refresh based on the context of what's available within the report. So I'm just conscious we've only got a couple of minutes left, so I'll just skip ahead on the video, and we'll just introduce the last concept, which is data agents. So now we've done all that work, we've made the data available inside of our Lakehouse. We want our users to be able to maybe chat with our data in some capacity, so we can quickly create, again, this is very much low code, a data agent where we can provide a number of tables that our users can interact with. So we've called this our product agent, and it's just an agent where maybe we want to interact with our product catalog. So we're going to pick our product category, and our sentiment just for example purposes. So we're going to ask how many items do we have, or how many items do we sell. The agent's going to go off. It's going to generate some SQL behind the scenes, and then it's going to give us a result. What we can then do is take a look at that SQL, see if we're happy with it, see if it generates the right results. If we're not, we can then provide some sort of guardrails and instructions for the agent, so that when our users are interacting with them, it's producing the right data. So we can see here it's doing a distinct count on product ID. I'm not so happy with that with that SQL. So what I'll do is I'll give it an example query. We'll give it an example question. So how many items do we sell? And then we're going to give it some updated SQL, which will then spit out the same result, but it's just more SQL that I'm happier with. So these are very simple use cases, but you can see that, you know, if your models and your data is more complex, you can provide the queries that generate the right results. So it's not just a black box of, I'm going to chat with the data and hope it gives us the right result. We can actually enrich it, and my colleague Chris has got plenty of blog articles out there that help and talk you through this process in more detail. I think we'll end the demo there because I think we're going to be getting kicked off in a minute. So just to sort of wrap up the demo and what we've went through, hopefully it's given you an idea of what's available and what's possible with Fabric. So we've mirrored data into Fabric from our SQL instance. We've used some AI functionality to enrich our data. And then we've generated a report using AI and Copilot to spit something out that we're happy with. And then we've created a Fabric data agent, which then can be consumed by other applications such as Copilot Studio and anything else that we want to publish and make available to our users. Over to you, Tina.
I was going to say, I don't know if I have enough time to recap this, but I think just kind of following on of where we started, the way forward is to unify your data into a single, governed, and secure platform. It's all about consolidation, unlocking, unblocking the value of your data so you can harness the power of AI and truly leverage what the promise is. I think we are at time, so I don't think we have time to take any questions, but we will be up in the access area up top in the VIP area. If any of you want to come and have a conversation with me, David, and other folks from Microsoft, including Chris Webb from our Fabric Cat team.
Cool. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.